In the world of computing, we are just obsessed with one thing: speed. Faster processors, faster networks, faster everything, right? But what if I told you that for some of the most critical systems in our lives, being the fastest doesn't matter at all? In fact, what if being too fast, or at least unpredictably fast, could actually cause them to fail? Okay, let's dive into the fascinating world of real-time systems where timing isn't just a feature, it's the entire point.
This right here, this is the core philosophy that drives everything we're about to talk about. Just think about it for a second. What good is the command to deploy an airbag if it arrives a fraction of a second after a crash? Well, it's useless, right? It might as well have never been sent. This isn't about getting an answer quickly. It's about getting the right answer at precisely the right time.
So let's just draw a really clear line in the sand here. On one side, you've got the systems we use every single day. Our laptops, servers, phones. Their main goal? Maximum throughput. They want to get as much work done as possible, on average. But on the other side, you have real-time systems, and their goal is completely different. They have to provide guaranteed deadlines. It's not about the average case, it's all about the worst case. And that brings us to this central idea of the deadline as a kind of binding contract. See, in a normal system, a deadline is, well, it's a suggestion, a nice to have. But in a real-time system, it's an unbreakable promise. So what exactly is one of these systems?
Let's look at the formal definition, because it's so important. We can break it down. The logical result is the what, is the calculation correct? But that second part, the time at which the result is produced, that's the when. A real-time system is only considered correct if both the what and the when are right. A late answer is, by definition, a wrong answer, period.
And this is such a crucial distinction to make. A system that consistently delivers a result in exactly 10 milliseconds is a better real-time system than one that usually delivers it in 1 millisecond but sometimes takes 20. See the difference? Predictability trumps raw speed every single time. It's all about being consistently, reliably on time.
Of course, not all deadlines are created equal. The consequence for your video stream lagging is pretty different from a pacemaker missing a beat. So this leads us to a whole spectrum of consequences and 3 distinct types of real-time systems. First up, we've got the most critical category: hard real-time. In these systems, missing even a single deadline isn't just an error, it is a total, catastrophic failure of the entire system. There are absolutely no second chances. The stakes here are as high as they possibly get. We're talking about a flight control system, a pacemaker, and airbag controller. These things must act on time every time. A missed deadline isn't just an error message on a screen, it's a potential life-or-death event.
Okay, next we have firm real-time. Now here, missing a deadline isn't catastrophic for the whole system, but the specific result that arrived late, it's now completely worthless. It's just dropped. It has zero value.
Think of a robot on an assembly line. If its command to weld a spot arrives too late, well, the car's already moved on. That command is useless. Or think about a high-frequency trading system. If the decision to buy a stock arrives after the price has already changed, that opportunity is gone forever. The late data is simply discarded.
And finally, we have the type that we all experience most often: soft real-time. In these systems, meeting the deadline is still what you want, but missing it isn't a disaster. Instead, the quality of the service or the performance just degrades. It becomes less useful, but it doesn't fail completely.
Oh yeah, this is something we've all experienced. A stuttering video call or that annoying lag in an online game. Those are perfect examples of missed soft real-time deadlines. The system doesn't crash, the quality just gets worse. So, the crucial point from all of this is that across all 3 types, hard, firm, and soft, the focus is always on the guarantee. What level of timeliness can the system promise? It's a fundamental shift away from just thinking about average speed.
So how do engineers actually build systems that can make these kinds of promises? I mean, it sounds almost impossible. Well, it requires a completely different approach to design, one that prioritizes predictability over raw performance.
This is where computer science gets incredibly rigorous. You can't just cross your fingers and hope tasks will finish on time, you have to prove it. And to do that, engineers model every single task with 3 key properties: its worst-case execution time, its period, so how often it needs to run, and its deadline. Scheduling these tasks isn't guesswork, it's a mathematical discipline. You use these models to formally prove that every deadline will always be met.
So let's just touch on 2 classic scheduling approaches to see how this works.
One is called rate monotonic scheduling, or RMS. Think of it like a rigid train table time. It gives each task a fixed priority. The more frequently a task runs, the higher its priority. Simple and incredibly predictable. The other is earliest deadline first, or EDF. This is more like an ER doctor doing triage. It's dynamic. At any given moment, it looks at all the patients, all the tasks, and works on the one whose deadline is closest. Now here's the trade-off. EDF is more efficient. It can squeeze more work onto a processor. But RMS is more predictable, especially when things go wrong and the system gets overloaded. So you have to choose. Do you maximize efficiency, or do you maximize predictability?
This table just perfectly sums up the whole difference in philosophy. Your laptop, it cares about average latency. A flight controller, it cares only about worst-case latency. Your laptop scheduler makes a best effort. A pacemaker scheduler has to be deterministic. It has to be mathematically proven. And this drives the biggest difference of all. When your laptop gets overloaded, it just gets slow. When a hard real-time system gets overloaded, it fails. It has to be designed from the ground up to guarantee that overload never, ever happens.
And this leads to a fascinating, totally counterintuitive engineering lesson. A lot of the tricks that make our computers feel fast, things like caching or speculative execution, they actually introduce unpredictability. A cache might make a task faster 99% of the time, but that 1% of the time when it's slow could cause a missed deadline. And that unpredictability makes it impossible to calculate a reliable worst-case execution time, which completely breaks all the math we rely on. So, in real-time design, these optimizations are often turned off in favor of slower but perfectly predictable behavior.
Okay, so now that we get the what and the how, let's talk about the where. Because these systems are not some niche academic topic, they're the invisible, silent pacemakers keeping our modern world running safely and on schedule.
Seriously, every time you drive a modern car, you are entrusting your life to dozens of hard real-time systems, controlling the brakes, the engine, the airbags. They're in the planes we fly in, the factories that build our stuff, and the power grids that light our homes. They are truly the unsung heroes of engineering.
So let's bring it all together with this core truth. For most of the technology we use, being fast is a bonus, a nice feature to have. But for the systems we've just talked about, getting the timing right isn't a feature. It is the very definition of a correct result.
And this leaves us with a pretty provocative question to think about. As our world gets more complex, more automated, just think about the technology that's all around you. Is it built to perform well on an average day, or is it built to perform perfectly in that one critical moment when everything goes wrong?
Because ultimately, that is the entire discipline of real-time engineering. It's a profound commitment to not just hoping for the best, but mathematically guaranteeing correct behavior during the absolute worst possible moment. It's a completely different way of thinking about computers, and it's what keeps our world safe.